What's going on, guys? It's Zach back with another video. In this video, we're going to be talking about morning routines, the psychology behind why this stuff is so important, and then we're going to lay out a process so you can implement your own optimized morning routine right away. Now, below this video, there is a link that you can click to get a handout that goes along with this workshop, and I'm going to highly recommend that you download that before you jump into this. Once you've got the handout, you're all set and ready to go, and so let's jump in. All right, everyone. So this is Master Your Morning, Master Your Life, the psychology, the deep philosophy behind why we optimize our mornings and our evenings, but then really the nitty gritty, how this stuff works from a psychological perspective, and then how to actually implement this stuff. So how to actually get the benefit from optimizing your mornings and your evenings that's going to really revolutionize your life in the way that you want it to. So here's what we're going to cover. First and foremost, why mornings and evenings are the most important times to optimize. Brainwave frequencies, what these are and how to actually leverage them in a way that works for you. And then distractions. Now, this is probably something that I should have covered in the second section, what you're currently doing and why it's hurting you, potentially why it's hurting you, right? And then visualizing your current practice versus the ideal practice. You're going to see right here, right now, you're going to get an immediate benefit, essentially, visualizing, feeling into the current process that you're following, projecting outwards and seeing how it's affecting you, and then doing it on the opposite side of the spectrum. Designing the most ideal morning and evening routines that you possibly could, and then feeling yourself go through them. We're going to optimize them together, get the maximum benefit, and then you're going to walk away with a game plan that is something that you can practice every single day, and I'm going to give you the strategies to make sure that you actually do that and actually get the benefits of mind, body, and spirit out of doing this practice. So first and foremost, we're going to talk about the why, right? We're going to talk in depth about what is actually happening within your brain during these periods of time and why it is that these periods of time are the most effective to optimize. Yes, working out, meditating, journaling, eating healthy food is effective across the board. There is not a single point in time during your day that you could tell me, hey, I just ate some really healthy food and it's just not going to matter because I did it, right after, 1 p.m. That doesn't really exist. But what does indeed exist is points in your day when your brain is at a different frequency level than when you are attentive, when you are aware, when you are doing things that are associated with work, obligations, onward, and etc. The point when you exit consciousness during the day, right, and the point right before you re-enter the unconscious state, these are two of the most effective times to really program your mind with the coding, if you will, that's going to lead you to a life that is more in alignment with what it is that you want to create. So let's talk about the 5 stages of brainwave frequency. You have delta brainwave frequency, theta brainwave frequency, alpha, beta, and gamma brainwave frequency. Now, I go over these in depth, but essentially the bottom line is this, right? In delta and theta brainwave frequencies, you are either in your most unconscious state or you are just on the precipice of consciousness. Delta brainwave state is where our body is in its healing mode, right? Our body is totally asleep. Our brains are either in restorative REM sleep or they are, on the precipice of restorative REM sleep. And this means that your mind is in a place where you are able to really encode information, right? This is where memories are encoded. And so what are the implications of this? Understanding your brainwave frequency state will help you optimize your behaviors during those periods, right? So as you've seen, when your brain is in transition between the conscious and unconscious, this is where you can really start to place information in your mind without that conscious filter judging the information. Listen, your brain has a conscious mind filter that is associated with all of your experiences, as being yourself, experiences in regard to society and the communities that you exist in and you try to conform to. This conscious filter is essentially bringing every piece of information that you encounter through it to determine, is this legitimate or is this flawed in some way? Now, when it comes to creating a future for ourselves that is different from what we've ever created, right? If we want to be somebody who is in excellent shape, if we want to be somebody who is a consistent meditator, but we've never been able to really achieve these things, a lot of the reason is because the behaviors, the thoughts, the feelings that come in alignment with these states that we're trying to reach are so far foreign from what we are used to experiencing that when we bring these ideas up to ourselves, there is a plethora of reasons why they cannot happen. Let's go to the other side of the spectrum. Every single one of us has had a dream or multiple dreams that we just kind of accepted, right? As though everything that was happening was totally and completely normal and familiar to us. So let's take these two examples, right? On one hand, the conscious mind is rejecting any possibility, any semblance of a change that is going to occur long term in our lives. Now, on the other hand, within this unconscious state, literally anything can show up in front of us and we are going to accept it and roll with it. The unconscious mind is open, right? The unconscious mind is an open book that is ready for you to write the story that you want to experience within it. The conscious mind is the animal mind, the ego mind, and it is clinging to normalcy. It is looking for anything that is going to take us away from familiarity and consistency, and it is going to destroy that thing. No matter how good we deep down we know that thing is for us, consciously or unconsciously we know that thing is good for us. We are going to have to be fighting that conscious mind. But if we can leverage the moments in our day when we are in these states, right, the theta and the delta state, we can program our brains to be however we want them to be. We can program ourselves to think the ways that we want to think. We can program ourselves to be accepting of the behaviors that we want to be accepting of. We can see these habits ironed out into the codex of our character with very little effort. So I want to show you two examples just to iron this out a little bit deeper of two individuals, right? So on the left-hand side, we're going to take Bill. Now, Bill starts every day by waking up, immediately taking his phone out, checking his phone, scrolling through Reddit, scrolling through Instagram, getting out of bed begrudgingly, going into his living room, turning on the TV, watching that MSNBC, learning all about how, the cronies in the government are just ruining everything, and, climate change is a-coming, on and on and on, right? And so while he's watching TV, he makes himself a cup of coffee. Doesn't necessarily want to drink the coffee, but he relies on the coffee because he believes that that's what's going to give him the energy. And without his coffee, belief indicator, right? Without his coffee, he's going to have a garbage day and he's just going to be so tired. Now, while he's doing that, he gets himself together, puts his clothes on, and on his way to work, he stops by Dunkin' Donuts to get his breakfast. And so right off the bat, he's just started his day off absorbing a bunch of information that's really disempowering, right? On social media, he's comparing himself to other people that are, supposedly doing better than him. He's watching a lot of people do things that just seem to be so far out of his realm of experience. He's never going to have the time to go skydiving. He's never going to have the time or the money to go travel to Thailand and walk on white sandy beaches. He's absorbed all of this disempowering information, comparing himself and putting himself down, whether he realizes it or not. Now, he's also consumed caffeine, which is, hijacking his brain's regular capacity to self-energize. He's also gone and consumed food that he likes the taste, but long term, he consciously knows that this food, this oily, greasy food, is contributing to his body in ways that are negative for his health long term, right? Now he's going to work. He's dealing with his obligations. Based on the way Bill lives his life, you can probably assume that he's complaining a lot about his work. He's not happy with a lot of his relationships and the obligations that he deals with. He probably does a lot of this stuff begrudgingly, right? And then he finishes his day in the exact same way that he began his day. He's absorbing information that disempowers him. He's absorbing information about the government and the environment and politics that is so far out of his, sphere of control that it makes him feel super disempowered. He's absorbing more information about how his life is not good enough in the grand scheme. And then finally, in a stupor of, dopamine, serotonin lapse, he falls asleep in a state of pure blue light, destroyed exhaustion. What a lovely way to live his life. But let's be honest, so many of us are doing this, right? So many of us collapse into sleep after we have scrolled until our brain just can't deal with it anymore. So many of us surround ourselves, right? We saturate in this information that is dealing with individuals with situations that, Yes, they implicate us. However, we don't have control over them. We have to sit there and watch as we feel disempowered, watching the world seemingly collapse around us. Now, on the other side, excuse me, you have John. Now, John wakes up, starts his day out with journaling. He is writing about the things that he's grateful for. Right off the bat, he's waking up and he is appreciating the fact that he's alive, right? There's a roof over his head, hopefully. There is a bed beneath his back. And while John might have some credit card debt, and while John definitely is not a politician and definitely doesn't have the power, right? He has the power over himself. And so he's waking up, he's being grateful, he is writing out his goals, he is energetically aligning with those goals before any distraction comes into his space and delivers him the information beyond just his own self-doubt that I'm sure John has some degree of, right? That is delivering him information, telling him, hey, you don't have the power, right? You have zero capability over this world. Instead, John is 100% focused in his own sphere of control. He is waking up, he is empowering himself, he is energizing himself simply because he is getting clear on his goals and he's excited about those goals. And then he moves on to the next step. John is physically moving himself. He is working out, right? He is energizing his body by doing what the physical body is meant to do, and it is being engaged, right? So it doesn't matter if John is running, it doesn't matter if he's doing some yoga, it doesn't matter if he hits the gym for a quick morning lift. The fact that John is physically moving himself, his energy is physically, tangibly being raised. It is almost impossible to walk into the gym and get a good workout in it and walk out feeling more depressed, right? John understands that physical energy is mental and spiritual energy. So he's starting his day out by physically raising it, right? He is doing the ultimate energy raising hack and physically doing something about it. Now, once John is done working out, he drinks a healthy green shake. The first physical stuff that he puts into his body, the first sustenance that he puts into his body, is not acidic bean water. In fact, it is greens. It is, peaches and mangoes and lush, delicious natural sugars that are waking his body up, engaging his immune system in the engaging his immune system, engaging his digestive system in the best, healthiest possible way. That is how John is starting his day out. Now, can you imagine how going to work, right, dealing with his other obligations, as in picking up the IKEA furniture and, taking little Susie to soccer practice? Can you see how, because of all of these very positive, energizing, self-affirming activities that John has started his day out with, it is going to be a lot easier to go through his workday, right? John, being somebody that is self-empowered, that is, self-motivated, that is self-accountable, John is probably not somebody who's complaining a lot about his work. If John has any complaints about his work, they're probably backed up with a strategy to either get a promotion, get a raise, and get moved into a part of the company or in alignment with projects that are really things that fuel John and make John feel as though he is useful and his work is being valued. Or maybe he's got a plan to get the hell out of there, get a new job, start a business, do something, because he is self-accountable and he is empowered. And John does not take a bunch of bullshit and simply say this is the way it is, because John knows, hey, if there's something that I want to change, I can change it. So he goes about his work and his obligations in a way that's empowered, in a way that he feels like he's adding value and he's getting the most value out of these things as possible. After he's done with these things, right, he spends his time working out again. He understands the power of really getting the most out of your physical body and moving it as a form of both meditation, but also as a form of long-term self-improvement. Then this is just a random example, but John is spending some time writing some letters to his family, right? He's again practicing gratitude, hopefully. But then he falls asleep after, disengaging his mind in a healthy way, right? Writing, using an actual pen and paper, not that blue light, and not a bunch of, garbage information that's just disempowering him. So long-term, what are the implications? Well, it's pretty straightforward stuff, you guys, and we're going to do this for ourselves right after this. But Bill is just an exhausted, sad, angry person. Bill lives in this cycle that he simply can't escape. He is a slave to his impulses. and he is a slave to hopelessness. And the only reason Bill experiences these things is because he is not conscious of the fact that the feelings that he's having are leading him to think thoughts and execute behaviors on a regular basis. And if he was simply to break the cycle, he could escape the slavery of mind, body, and spirit degradation. However, he doesn't. He continues to do the same things over and over again because he believes that there's something in that scrolling that he needs every morning. He believes that there's something in that news that he needs to get. He believes that that coffee is something that he absolutely needs to have. He believes that he doesn't have the time or the know-how or the resources to make his own delicious, healthy breakfast every morning. So he relies on those Dunkin' Donuts. And then he does it over and over and over and over again. Now, most of us are like Bill. But what if we were like John? We woke up every single day feeling empowered, right? We practiced gratitude first thing in the morning. Once we fueled our mind with a sense of appreciation for being here on this earth right now, we go work out. We raise our energy. We physically feel ourselves moving. On top of that, we're also giving ourselves that feedback that, hey, I am somebody that actually treats myself in a way that is healthy. Long term, I can give myself permission to be somebody that really is the hero of my journey, right? The person that I look up to is me. And I'm proving that to myself right here, right now, by putting in the work, engaging my physical body, feeling my muscles move, feeling myself push that weight, move those mountains. You know, this is me. Here I am right now doing the damn thing, right? Then I'm fueling my body with healthy foods. I didn't even say the stating my intentions thing, right? Stating your intentions, being very, very clear about what it is that you want to experience, what you are going to accept, what you're not going to accept, and how you're going to behave. That's some powerful stuff, my friends. Overall, John is a super self-accountable person. And so is it really that ridiculous to expect that long term, John is somebody that is existing in a body that really empowers him, right? Existing in a body that is energized, it looks great, it makes him feel confident. Is it that ridiculous to expect that John is somebody that feels like, hey, I'm actually able to hold myself to the promises that I create for myself? If I say, hey, I'm going to work out every single day and I do it, my sense of self-trust is so much higher because I've done the things that I say that I'm going to do. Long term, he's probably going to be working in a place that he really enjoys, if not running a place that he really enjoys, right? He's probably going to have relationships where people trust him a lot more because he's kind, he's accountable, he's willing to reflect on himself, and he's grateful for the people that he has. A lot of people want to be around people like that. The implications are clear, right? Long term, this guy John versus this guy Bill, totally different lives. Most of us are executing negative behaviors on a daily basis that we know are hurting us. If you guys haven't already got the little activity that goes along with this, there is a link below this video that you can click, and it's going to email right to you. And you're going to want to download that because a lot of these exercises are just better when you actually do them. They're more powerful when you actually do them. So the first thing that we want to consider is, what are the negative behaviors that are holding us back? Now, a lot of these deep spiritual schools will talk about the concept of you being kind of this light energy being, right? And you kind of adopted this physical body, you adopted this physical life to come here and experience something and learn something for yourself. Now, if we can accept that as true to some degree, right? If we can say that, I realized that when I was a little kid, and I had all, much fewer obligations, I was much more likely to imagine. I was much more likely to, frolic in the fields and have fun with my imaginary friends. And I already was the being that I wanted to be right there in that moment. And it wasn't until I started growing up, people started hammering me with obligations, expectations, kind of scolding me on what is true and what is not true, that I started to adopt this baggage and kind of become somebody that's more of a conformist, right? And a lot less of somebody that I really want to be, right? That I really want to share with the world. Well, it's because of these behaviors, right? Both actual executed action-based behaviors, but also mental behaviors, right? Consistent behavior of thought and feeling, right? These are the things that have ultimately led you to be somebody that is not necessarily in alignment with where you want to go. And so what we want to start out by doing is kind of creating this quote-unquote no list. If you're in the Vegan Strong Fit program, you're super familiar with the no list, but this is just kind of another way of framing it, right? I want you to consider, what are the negative behaviors that you carry out on a regular basis. And this is going to require you to be honest with yourself. But start at the beginning of your day in your mind's eye and think about every single thing that you do that you don't necessarily want to do. I know that there are many, many things that are going to come to your mind if you're being honest, right? It's scrolling on your phone, drinking multiple cups of coffee, not exercising, right? Gossiping, watching, binge watching shows on a daily basis, always buying fast food. All of these things, as many as you can, write them all out. Now, next to every single one of these bullet points that you create, I want you to come up with a little bit of a kind of mind movie, if you will, a little bit of a mind movie about what are the 90-day implications of continuing to do these things. Now, if you've been doing these things for years and you're like, well, shit, doing this for 90 more days is not going to change me much because I'm already suffering the consequences of my actions. Well, write out what those consequences are, right? What long term, what does doing this behavior on a consistent basis lead my life to be like? Now, one thing that you're going to experience as you start to do this exercise, you're going to experience your mind delivering you a lot of excuse narratives. You might be coming up with saying, oh, well, I know that if I do this every single day, but if I only do it once a week, it's actually really great for me, blah, blah, blah. I want you guys to, just as a side exercise, I want you guys to see if you can notice those narratives, right? See if you can kind of take a step back from that narrative and separate yourself as the being, the observer of the observer, the being behind you, right? Notice if you're being honest with yourself, right? Notice where it is a little bit uncomfortable and you do feel like you have to create these excuse narratives. This is very, very powerful because this is one of those exercises that's really targeting and attacking your ego. And your ego is that kind of fear-based internal dialogue that's going on that's in alignment with your animal brain saying, no, we have to protect ourselves. Anything new, anything different is going to hurt us. These behaviors that we've built up over time, these, comfort behaviors, some way, somehow they're actually helping us, right? They're helping us ease the burden of reality, kind of take our perspective away from what's happening around us and bring us into a place of safety, right? It's kind of the idea of that cushion between you and that dangerous external world, right? And that's really the reason that we have these behaviors in the first place, is that we think that they're protecting us. And so we continue to do them because it's easy and it's comforting. And so what I want you to do is, after you come up with that list, write it down, right? Write down what you think and what you know are the negative implications of doing these things on a long-term basis. Now, go ahead and pause this video if you need to. Take some time with this, guys. I'm talking like 5-10 minutes. Take some time. Actually go over, really build this list out to the best of your ability. Once you're ready, you can go ahead and play the video, and we're going to do the same thing on the opposite side of the spectrum. I want you to consider all of the behaviors, all of the activities that you want to be doing, right? Drinking that glass of water first thing in the morning, doing that quick, 15-minute morning jog, right? Reading that philosophy book that you've been meaning to crack open forever, right? Doing that little 5-minute meditation. Write down as many positive behaviors as you want to really improve your life. And then after you've come up with this list, allow it to be an exhaustive list. In the next section, what we're going to do is we're actually going to build out your ideal morning routine. But for now, I want you to just make as big of a list as possible. All the things that you've ever wanted to do, all the things that you really want to do, make that list. And then do the same thing, right? Write out that 90-day implication if that's where you're at right now. 90 days from now, or if you were to start doing this particular thing every single day, what would the long-term benefits be? And you might be surprised at what benefits you actually know you could garner right here, right now, if you made that change today. And so, once again, go ahead and pause this video. Take 5-10 minutes to do this. Take even longer if you want. But once we're done, what we want to do is we want to actually translate these little behaviors that we've come up with, and we want to create a version of our ideal morning routine that would help us to create these results long term, right? It's all good and nice to know what the results are, but here's the thing. Until you are consistent, until you are actually taking action and doing these things, do not expect any results, right? Most of us are mental masturbators, right? What does that mean? Well, what we do is we take 80% of our time and plan, and then we only take action 20% of the time, if at all. Now, here's the thing. When it comes to actually achieving anything, when it comes to actually seeing the results in life, There's 3 steps that you have to follow no matter what. Number 1, you have to take action. Number 2, you have to reflect on that action. And then number 3, you have to optimize on that reflection and then do it all over again. Now, what's the first step? It's action, and most of us put action on the back burner because we want to be so prepared, right? We want to do everything correctly, but here's the thing. When it comes to drinking a fucking glass of water in the morning, you already know how to do that. Quite simply, you're not doing that because you haven't mapped it out. You haven't really gotten serious with the clarity that I know long-term, if I do this thing for 90 days, I'm going to be significantly better off, right? I'm going to be more hydrated. My skin is going to be clearer. I'm going to have more energy because I'm going to be less gunked up inside, right? You know that this works. You don't need to plan anymore. Do this activity, start taking action, and see the results. So, once again, this is in the activity that's in the email handout, but here's what you're going to do. From the time that you wake up until the time of your first real obligation, your job, taking the kids to school, whatever it is, take that time and map out what the most ideal morning routine would be for you, right? In the handout, I'm giving you chunks of 30 minutes, but what you can do is you can change it down to 15 minutes. You can change it down to 10. You can change it down to whatever increment you want, but whatever it is going to do to whatever you have to do to help you create a template that you actually feel like you can work with. This activity is not for people that just want to watch something and be like, oh, that feels great. Because I watched this, I feel like I did something. My dear friend, you have not done anything yet, right? Until you have actually mapped this out and then you have actually implemented it, but you have to map it out first. And so, once again, towards the end, if you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer them for you. But right now, it's super, super straightforward. Take some of these behaviors that you wrote down here in the positive behaviors section, and then start to place them into a morning routine. If you have, at 8:30 is when I need to start to head out the door to work. Okay, well, I want to start waking up at 6. From 6 until 6:30, I'm stretching and I am journaling about all the things that I'm grateful for. From 6:30 until 7, I am making a green juice smoothie and I'm walking around the neighborhood. From 7 until 7:30, I am, taking a shower and listening to a podcast about how to, heal relationships, right? And then boom, I'm off to work. So I want you to map this out to the best of your ability. Make it something that feels really, really good because we are actually going to visualize this and go through this together. So if you need to pause this video, go ahead and pause it. Take your time with this stuff, and I will see you when you're ready. Okay, ready to begin? Let us do it. So here's what you're going to do. First things first, I want you to find yourself in a comfortable position. You're just going to close your eyes, and whether you're seated, whether you are standing, whether you're lying down, go ahead and shake off the stale energy. Position yourself in a way that's comfortable. No need to be super rigid. And then you're going to close your eyes and start by taking a deep breath in through your nose, filling your diaphragm, and out through your mouth. And do it one more time, in through your nose, filling your diaphragm, and out through your mouth. Now, I want you to imagine yourself lying in your bed. And imagine that you've just woken up from a delicious night's sleep. And you've had a wonderful dream. And you're here excited, happy, opening your eyes, welcoming the day. I want you to begin with the first activity that you wrote down. What is the first thing that you would like to do to begin your morning routine? Move yourself into the place where you're doing said thing. See yourself from the first person perspective doing said thing. And feel how good it feels to be doing this thing. Now we're going to move on to the next activity. And so as you continue to breathe deeply in through your nose, filling your diaphragm, feeling your body relax, Move on to the next activity in your perfect morning routine. See yourself there in the first person perspective, beginning to engage in said thing. Feel yourself enjoying doing this thing, and be proud of yourself. You are engaging in your ideal morning routine. Feel yourself doing this thing. See yourself doing this thing. Be there now as you continue to breathe, relaxed, at ease, and flowing. And now we're going to move on to the next thing in your morning routine. Be there in the first person perspective and begin to engage in this thing. Feel yourself doing this thing. Bringing in all sensory details, as many as you can. Flowing as you do this thing and enjoying as you do this thing. And I want you now to look into the future. And imagine if you do these activities every single day. Every single day, your morning starts out with you empowering yourself, doing the things that you love, and doing the things that make you feel good. How are your days in general going to change? Long term, what might you be better at? What parts of your life might be improved overall because you've decided to start every single day doing these things? Become aware of these changes. Feel these changes and accept that you can have these changes. This life can be yours. I want you to take a few more seconds just to appreciate this feeling of self-empowerment. Taking a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And when you're ready, you can come back. Now, what we're going to do is make some adjustments. Now, in doing that little visualization activity, I'm sure that there were a few things that came up that were a little bit different from what you wrote down. One of the most important things when it comes to routines is accepting that it's okay to change them, right? It's okay to optimize and reflect and improve everything, right? And so just in doing that visualization exercise, were there things that you came up with that you were like, you know what, I think I need to make an adjustment to the routine that I created? Go ahead, take some time, do that now. What we're going to do is ultimately, adjust these things more and more and more as time goes on. But for now, you have just come up with a morning routine that really empowers you. So go ahead and pat yourself on the back. We're going to use this as time goes on. And so what I want you guys to do now. So there you have it, my friends. I hope this was helpful. Now, don't treat this like a one and done activity. Remember, consistent daily action is where the results come from. So we went through this whole process to build out an optimized morning routine. Actually take action on that morning routine. If you want some more help with this stuff, there is a link below this video as well to sign up for a free coaching call with myself or one of my coaches. We'll talk about what's most important for you right now as far as your morning routine needs, and we will build it out together. Now, this invitation is really only open to those of you that are really motivated to transform your lives. So don't just jump on here trying to kick some tires. We're here to help you out, but we really want to make sure that we are respecting your time and you're respecting our time. Otherwise, you guys, I hope this was helpful. Remember, do this stuff consistently. You will see the results. Like this video, subscribe to our channel so that you see more videos just like this, and drop a comment if you want some help with anything in particular. I am dedicated to helping you guys get what you need. So without further ado, I will see you soon. Talk to you later. Namaste. Peace.